Flat earthers use the word perspective. They say, the reason that things disappear from your view is because they move too far away from you for your visual acuity to be able to make them out. They would use shots like these, either staring down a hallway or some long corridor, or in this case, beneath the lane of the Atchafalaya Basin Bridge. Their arguments go like this. When we use our senses and look at the world, we can see that the water is flat, and that scenes like these show that lines stay straight and do not curve. Therefore, the Earth is flat. But these arguments fail to consider the scale of the Earth. Just as you need a microscope to see small things, you can use a telephoto lens to see large things that are far away. For example, New Orleans can be seen from Mandeville as it's obstructed by the horizon. With curvature like this clearly visible, Flat Earth gurus had to scramble with ad hoc explanations. Flat Earth gurus out was the claim that there was no curvature, and that the obstruction was caused by some magical phenomenon called convergence. This is now known as flurspective. The flurspective argument can be defeated by finding structures that demonstrate the curvature of the Earth as it moves away from the observer. The causeway, for example, clearly demonstrates such curvature. Also, from the South Shore, both the curvature of the causeway and the obstruction of the Marriott by the horizon can be seen in the same frame. But what about those long hallways? Well, with a telephoto lens, even the long hallways are shown to curve. So the next time your favorite flat earth minion uses the word perspective, just know he really means flurspective.
I mean, look at the severity of this drop. I mean, that is massive, and if you're going to tell me that you wouldn't be able to notice that from back here, I would say you're crazy.
You can see this optical phenomenon going on with the railings, which is exactly the same as what is seen in photographs of the causeway and the power lines going across Lake Pontchartrain in the United States, with the claim that this is proof of curvature. When in fact we can see exactly the same thing happening here with these railings. We are below the railings and they appear to bend down towards this band of convergence.
Also, I think the reason that Soundly was so eager to promote Metabunk was because Metabunk is actually using this footage to try and prove that the Earth is a curve. So I am really excited to get this completely blown away, because there is no way that they can refute a side shot would not show this curvature if we were on a ball. I mean, and that is a dramatic amount of curvature, which of course is complete nonsense.
But lo and behold, as I played around and scanned around and what's this I see? Is it perhaps the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway? Oh, it is. Look at that. And do I see a curve or a hump or anything? No, I don't. I'm seeing a completely straight surface. I panned around and got to the beginning to see, where it would start. And as you see, that's it. You can't really see anything past it to the left. It's covered up by the tree line and distance and perspective and atmoplane and all these things we talk about. But as I scan through here, you're going to see absolutely no curvature. There's none. It's straight, flat, no humps, no hills, no arches, just a flat bridge. World record flat bridge. Go look it up, Google it, Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. It's in the record books. Is that? No, that's not the curve. That's a hotel. I don't see it. I don't see. Oh, wait. No, that wasn't it. That was just some cars. Uh-oh. I may be wrong. Is it curved? Actually, no. It's just a hump. A natural hump made in the road purposefully. I think we'll call that Cheater's Hump, Louisiana from now on. And I'm going to get that put on Google's map. I will do everything I can to get that put on Google Maps. But as I continue to scan through, you see absolutely no hump, except Cheater's Hump. No arch, no curve. It's flat. It's flat, folks. Sorry, flat. That's it. Soundly. Well, oh, more curve. This is Liar's Arch, Louisiana. And you notice how he always has the video panned out to the length of the shot. He never goes down and shows you the whole process of zooming to that fake curve he's showing us.
When we did the laser experiments in Lake Balaton in Budapest, many of you said that the curvature cannot be detected in a lake because it's like a container and the water has to be flat, so the experiment should be done in the ocean. Now the same people are telling me that they see the curvature in Lake Pontchartrain, which is actually an estuary. Oh, contradictions. But you know what? Contradictions do not exist. Whenever you think you are facing a contradiction, check your premises. You will find that one of them is wrong.
Alright, Flat Earthers, this is the shot I've been trying to get. I am dangerously on 55 and I-10 junction in New Orleans over Lake Pontchartrain. These are the utility poles that run 18 miles across the lake. And I just wanted to show you there's the shore on the other side. They do not dip down. 60 feet. They are perfectly level. The entire way, all the way to the shoreline right there. They don't disappear, they don't go over a curve.
One of my favorite locations is the Little Tensas Bayou, which is under the Atchafalaya Basin Bridge. There's two sides. One is the Whiskey Bay side, which is the west side, and the other is the Rama side, which is the east side. Here we're going to be looking from the Rama side, pretty close to water level, maybe 2 or 3 feet high. We're looking towards the Whiskey Bay side, which is the boat ramp down there, the Atchafalaya Basin Bridge boat ramp. My tripod set up here below the levee. In a minute we're going to go up to the top of the levee, but you can clearly see the bridge is curving down there on the far end. In a moment we're going to see that that bridge is actually straight and level, and the only reason it looks curving is because we're seeing the curvature of the earth.
Science is the same of that of a lens. Here's a simple example.
So if you're looking at Chicago here,
The atmosphere really is acting like a lens.
yes,
Atmosphere really is acting like a lens, and this is how much of the city is missing due to the lensing effect, the magnification of the atmosphere. Okay, we're all the way up against the glass. Now let's zoom across the lake, and wow, look at that. The lower portions start to disappear. Now let's zoom back in, get a little closer to the one that Captain Baltard was talking about here. And wow, look at this. Here's his image on the right, and here's my image on the left. Missing the lower portions of the city had nothing to do with curvature whatsoever.
The atmosphere really is acting like a lens.
So I'm start to investigate about the atmospheric conditions and all that kind of stuff. And I come with some videos because a lot of people believe that the Fata Morgana is, like an isolate phenomenon around the plane, that is maybe someday is Fata Morgana, but other day it isn't. So first of all, there is even a web page where you can search for the Fata Morgana every day. So it's a tropospheric propagation forecast. This is, for example, of today. You can have a different part of the world, so you can see that the Fata Morgana is all the time, and it's not only in the seashores, it's also in the land, because it's a link with the temperature and that kind of stuff. So that it's for live clear that the Fata Morgana is happen all the time. It's not just one day is and other day there isn't. And when you start to look in, a lot of people have this phenomena, they can replicate on labs. So when we look at the horizon, we are seeing this kind of thing that, this is a little device with nano tube of carbons. When they pass heat from these tubes and make a simulation of Fata Morgana. So for example, if I put, I don't know, maybe at this frame there, and I compare with this kind of situation, you can see it's, let me just do it like this. You can see that here is produced this little, like curve on the effects that produce the heat on the atmosphere. So when I look at, for me at least, when I see this kind of image, I see that like this point here, it's it's the last view clear that we have. From this point back, is like there is atmospheric distortion that is very clear. And depends of the weather, you're gonna have like the light bends a lot, or maybe continue in a straight line for a few miles away before start to bending. So it's very, it's very well studied, this phenomena of Fata Morgana. You can see here in this lab. So when you start to put it all together, of course, everybody knows this kind of mirage that produce, for example, this is in dry land. You can see the mirror effects. Nobody is gonna think that this is kind of, alien ships. This is product of the this phenomenon.
So basically, this is I think this is an older video of his, August or something, and he's showing the different ways he's talking about curved water. He shows it here, saying that this is curved water, I guess, says witness Earth's curve, flat Earth debunked, curved water. So I don't know how this is showing curved water, when clearly what we're getting is a distorted view here, and then you're just getting, you can't see through distortion. I mean, to expect to see through that would be, I don't know, kind of mind-numbing. So he's also shown this actual causeway here as being curved. That's what, he says, the causeway is curved. But let me show you a couple images, and let me make sure that they are right here for you. So you'll see that there's even these humps in this causeway itself, which should call into question anybody taking a sideways view of it and questioning. You'll see here, going up and over. So when I ask how honest are they being, here's a downhill look as they're going. Now these are things that can be easily seen, and I just want to show you what is happening here. If you look carefully at this, I don't know if you would see the same thing as I do, but this red line almost appears to be curved. It's just kind of a optical effect that happens a lot. For instance, here we've got these electrical poles that seem to curve away, and that is because of curvilinear perspective. Curvilinear perspective happens because our eyes are a sphere. Your eyeball is not a flat lens. Your eyeball is a curved lens. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to read some of these comments. So this one here is his big claim to fame that he thinks this shows curvature. And let me show you why it does not. And we'll transfer this over here. Okay. So hopefully you can see this red bars. Yeah. So if you look at this drawing here, and this is what they think is happening is in the distance, basically these things are curving around the bend of Earth. That's what they think. But all we need to do is remove ourselves and put ourselves at the side view, looking this way. And what you should be able to see then is you should be able to see these posts. These electric poles would be standing up out of the water like this, and you would have to see them curve away. Because you just said, from this point of view, looking this way, that you can see these posts curving around the bend of Earth. And if that's happening, then go to the side of it, look from the side, and you should be able to see the Earth curve this way. But guess what? No one's ever seen the Earth curve that way. Ever. No one has ever seen it ever in all times because it doesn't curve. It is a flat, level plane, and our eyes cause things to happen. Let me show you an example of that, see if it makes any sense. You can get curves, and it's called curvilinear perspective because our eyes are spherical. And, you know, we all were taught about the 1 point perspective, right? The one vanishing point. Well, there's also a way to do it that has 5 vanishing points. And the reason for that is because that's how our eyes work. For instance, if we were going to be drawing these posts, we'll just come like this. You have to remember that as these posts go off in the distance, so these ones are far away from each other, and as they go off in the distance, they're going to start getting closer together. Okay, because more and more are building up in your frame of view. So imagine if we did this, and before you know, these things are getting bunched up. A little bit bigger. These things are getting bunched up like this. And what you can start to see is that there will be a curve happening because now you've got like all these kind of scrunching down in here. That one didn't really work. But then you could see, get down, something like that. So what you can see, and it's kind of hard to see, I did that quickly, but is you'll start to get this curve look that's coming down. Now we were all taught about the perspective. You put your vanishing point, you've got your road, you've got your telephone poles, you've got your, you know, we know how to draw perspective. But what they never tell you is that as you get to this back spot here, well, because things start building up, you can get this curved look. Let me show you a couple examples of that. Where did I put that one? Oh, I've got this one here. Let me show you this one. So again, if you just came to the side, that's how you would tell. You always need that third person's perspective. And it goes with boats too. The same thing that they've told us with boats. That when we've got boats going over the curvature, well, no one's talking about the side view. And I've talked about that before. But if we've got, let's say we've got that was nice, a beach coming this way. And we've got some buildings, okay, here on the shore. Say we've got these 3 buildings. And then all out here is water. Okay, so this is our beach, buildings, water. And let's say that the horizon is maybe back here. Oops. And our horizon is back here. All right, so now if boats started going out from this port going this way, okay, we would have a boat here. Now, if there was somebody standing here, he would lose this boat, say right here, that this line of water We'll make that a little bit darker of a line. So he would lose boats going over the edge, supposedly, here. But then somebody standing up here would see that boat go a little bit further until they saw it get lost over this line. And then this guy would see it go a little bit further and get lost over this line. And then this guy at the top, he would not see it till it got lost over the back line. So all you need to do to see what's going on here is to make your third person's point of view. You grab this person, have him come over here, and have him look this way. Say, what do you see when you look across? Do you see the boats curving over a curved earth, or do you see the boats going directly straight? Of course, for this guy, he would see the boats as if this was our perspective looking this way. He would see the boat stay all the way across the line. So nothing is going over any curve. It's simply not happening. And how dishonest are globe believers to continue to protest that things are going over any edges. It just couldn't happen. We're going to watch Wolfie here in a second talk about boats getting hidden by the curvature, which is simply is preposterous. Really, it just is. Because if boats were to, let's say you're watching from the shore here, and you're watching a boat go out and it starts to get lost over this line here, which you're going to call the horizon, say, now the boat's going over. Well, that means that the boat's going over an edge. So what if somebody was on this shore over here and they're watching over here? Would they see the boats come up over an edge? Well, no, they would see the boat coming from behind, right? If they're watching, they would see the boat come from behind the edge. So how does that work? How exactly is that going to take place? Again, it just simply doesn't work. If you took and you can look at Monterey, where I've gone before, you have Pacific Grove that kind of comes out like this. Then you've got the Monterey Bay, you've got Marina, you've got Soquel, and you got Santa Cruz. Okay, this distance here is about 25 miles, going left to right here. So if somebody stood, you'd have to be up higher off the ground, but if somebody stood here and watched, say, a person here and a person here, and this person sees a boat leave going this way, okay? Well, guess what? After about 3 miles, they're going to lose that boat. It's going to appear to start going over the edge. And this person would watch a boat go this way and would appear that this boat went over the edge. But this person is the one who would dictate to them and say, no, the boat didn't go over any edge. The boat went straight across. The boat did not go over any curve, which wouldn't even make sense. How would it go over a curve like that? That's why I say all the time, it's impossible to live on a ball. You can't do it. It's just not possible. They've confused us and told us it's possible. They've given us all the lies and the cover-ups that they possibly can, and people believe them. Don't get me wrong. I believed it. 35 years. It was fact to me. Why would I ever question it? It's just, if you actually honestly look into this stuff, it's not even hard to figure out anymore. It simply is a deception. This guy, Tom Lockwood, talks about curvilinear perspective, and I think describes it perfectly when he says, the human eye has a limited width of field. We tend to see only a portion of the environment at a time and really only concentrate on the very center of what our eyes take in. And so we allow ourselves the luxury of believing that straight lines appear straight. And it's a luxury. Straight lines are so much easier to deal with than curved ones. But you live at the center of a fish-eyed universe. A line is rarely so perfectly situated within your field of view that you would actually draw it as a horizontal line. Even lines that we know to be level, if you turn your head slowly where you're sitting and concentrate on the lines and angles of walls or furniture and the floor, abstract shapes not as things, pay attention to how they shift in your sight, and you will begin to understand it. So this is a good example here. He says you can look straight at a thing like the monitor you're looking at. So right now you're probably looking at a computer monitor. Look at the top and bottom lines of that monitor, and let's listen to what he says. So you can look at a straight thing, say the monitor you're reading this on, and make the horizontal lines of the top and bottom truly horizontal in your field of view, but then turn your head just the tiniest bit, and they no longer are so. So you'll see how quickly lines can become distorted unless you're looking straight on with this item. Well, we're not looking. We're looking from the side. This is a side view of the causeway electrical poles or whatever you want to call them. But he says perspective is literally the view you see from wherever it is you are, depending on which way you are pointing the eyes in your head. It's dynamic and it's alive. It moves and changes as you move. We have conventions that simplify applying observation to a rendered image, such as perspective grids. but they're abstractions that only approach reality, a language that we have all learned. They aren't reality. Let's look at, so this is talking about curvilinear perspective, and one important point here is 4 or infinite point perspective is the one that arguably most approximates the perspective of the human eye, while at the same time being effective for making impossible spaces. While 5 point is the curvilinear equivalent of 1 point perspective, so is 4 point the equivalent of 2 point perspective. So I think I have an image here that shows it pretty well. Let's go to here. Let me see if this image shows you what I'm talking about. Where is it? I lost my thing. Here we go. This image here should show it really well. Okay, this image is perfect. So if you look at this image, this is what's happening to those poles. You'll see that we've got this line that looks like it's curved coming down, but we've got this flat horizon, and it's just the way our eyes work. It's because our eyes are spheres. So it doesn't take much to realize that this shouldn't be the focus of your entire channel. Is this Lake Pontchartrain, the one place that you think it shows curvature, shouldn't be the focus of your whole channel. It just shouldn't. It's not proof of anything. It's not. Nothing is curving over the edge of any horizon at all. So let me see if there is another picture that I wanted to show. So we can look at these again, just showing the drop there, just showing that there's humps in that bridge anyway that are going to give us a distortion. This picture here I was just kind of drawing where you could see this and say, well, wait a second, isn't that, well, nothing is curving here. I was just drawing gray boxes that you'll see that as they get back here, once I got here, well, they can't go any further this way because I drew a line here of the horizon line, and I just made the boxes get smaller and smaller and smaller as I went away. They still stop at this line, right? And it looks like a curve. It looks like a curve. But again, this is my drawing. This is a flat line here, and these posts just got smaller as I went off into the distance. So these lights here, they went and put on the side of this bayou, and they put them 5 feet off the water line. But something interesting here, and this should be all the evidence you need to realize what's happening. That if you look there, you can say, oh, maybe there's a little bit of a curve. But as you start to play with this thing, just going forward and back like I'm doing, you'll see, look at the curve difference there versus there versus there versus there versus there. How about that? So what is actually happening here? Well, it should be easy to tell that there's all kinds of distortion. Because as I've said, and what Robotham has said, is that if you just take a telescope and look down the line of, these lights, as in like right here, this is a straight line. So remember, in the globe Earth, it progressively drops. Meaning, I don't know how far this is. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a mile between these. I doubt it. But you should see a progressive drop. That now the next one should be down here, and then the next one down here behind it, and so on and so forth. But we don't see that. And that's kind of the point.
I mean, look at the severity of this drop. I mean, that is massive. And if you're going to tell me that you wouldn't be able to notice that from back here, I would say you're crazy.
There's the shore on the other side. They do not dip down. 60 feet.
Shown to curve. So the next time your favorite flat earth minion uses the word perspective, just know he really means flurspective.
I mean, look at the severity of this drop.